Welcome to this explainer of some truly eye-opening source material. Did you know that over the last 40 years, worker productivity has skyrocketed by nearly 60%? Average hourly wages, they've barely nudged forward at all. It's crazy. We're working harder, we're producing way more, and yet the financial needle just isn't moving for most of us. Today, we're diving straight into some fascinating material that completely exposes the biggest misconceptions we have about money, effort, and time. We're going to look really closely at the actual architecture of wealth and figure out why just earning a basic salary is almost never going to make you wealthy. Let's start with a jarring, intentionally provocative truth from the text. It says, "You aren't poor, you're just wrong." Ouch. But listen, if you're exhausted from grinding out 60-hour weeks, maybe you're a super skilled engineer or a really dedicated manager, and you still have absolutely nothing to show for it at the end of the month, the author argues you don't actually have an income problem. What you have is an asset architecture problem. It's literally a systemic error in how you're operating. The warning here is pretty stark. If you don't fix this fundamental misunderstanding, you are basically destined to repeat the exact same frustrating financial cycle for the next decade. No one wants that. To break out of this trap, we first have to look at the great equalizer. From a really young age, we're all conditioned to just endlessly trade our time for money. Think about an hourglass for a second. Time is strictly finite. You are allotted exactly 24 hours in a day. Your boss has 24 hours, the absolute richest person on earth. They have exactly 24 hours too. That ticking clock is literally the single variable that is absolutely identical for every single human being on the planet. Which brings us to the absolutely crucial question. If our daily time allowance is exactly the same, why on earth are the financial outcomes between everyday earners and the ultra-wealthy so drastically different? Really take a second to let that sink in. How can two people start with the exact same 24-hour block? One ends up constantly stressed about the next utility bill, while the other is out there building massive generational wealth. It's a huge paradox, and answering it means we have to completely overhaul our entire relationship with how we earn. The wealth gap exists because the rich did something fundamentally different. They just stopped selling their time and they started buying systems. They built what the source material calls an asset architecture. Asset architecture is basically the foundational system of income-generating assets that you build up, instead of just relying solely on a fixed salary. Instead of clocking in at 9 in the morning and trading a physical hour for a fixed amount of dollars, you construct a framework that works completely independently of you. Think of it like the difference between getting paid to manually chop wood by the hour versus spending your time building a water mill that grinds the grain for you, day and night, whether you're physically standing there or not. That is a real game changer. Now, let's look at the two different paths here. On one side, you have the employee trap. This is the default setting for basically all of society. You get paid, you immediately pay your mortgage, your car loan, your streaming subscriptions. If there's a tiny little sliver of money left over, you try to save it. Human nature makes us a total losing game because our lifestyle instinctively creeps up to eat whatever income is available. On the flip side, we have the owner strategy, or the switch. Here, the order of operations totally flips. You get paid, and you immediately invest your profit first. You purchase or build your assets, only then do you live on whatever is left. The psychological hurdle here is massive because you have to consciously prioritize your future self over your present desires. You are effectively starving your lifestyle creep so you can feed your wealth infrastructure. So how do you actually execute this switch? You do it by building a moat. In this context, a moat is a side income stream that literally generates value while you sleep. The source material breaks this down into three main areas. First up, digital assets. Think writing an ebook, coding a software template, or making a design asset, something you produce once but can sell infinitely online. Second, automated investments. This could just be setting up your accounts to automatically buy dividend-yielding index funds on the first of every month without you ever pushing a single button. Third, compounding skills. Things like learning to write persuasive copy or mastering data analysis. These act as massive multipliers that make every future hour you do decide to work infinitely more valuable. The big takeaway here is absolutely vital. If your current income lacks this kind of multiplier, you are just working for a salary. You aren't working for wealth. This whole philosophy really distills down into a highly actionable three-part framework. The author of our source material actually used these exact steps to go from being a completely exhausted hourly billing consultant to achieving total automated cash flow. Step 1, stop selling time. The author started by carving out weekend hours, not to do more hourly client work, to build their very first digital product. They deliberately severed that mental link between hourly labor and earning potential. Step 2 is building your moat. That very first digital product became the foundational brick in their defensive wall of assets. Finally, step 3 is to automate cash flow. You set up the systems, the marketing, the delivery, the reinvestment, so the whole shebang runs and scales without requiring you to manually turn the gears every single morning.
The author's full methodology includes a super detailed guide for mapping this entire system first framework out for your own life, showing exactly how to implement every single step. It's a truly fascinating read for anyone looking to make that massive shift from just earning to actually owning. Even without the full guide, this core lesson absolutely stands on its own. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one vital question to answer for yourself. Think about it. What is the very first system you are going to build this week?